We knew there was a suspicious person out there, and this, I think once you listen to this today, you're going to find out, why in the world would you let former President Trump go out onto that platform if you weren't sure it was secure?
A 10-year-old looking at that satellite image could have seen that the greatest threat posed to the president that day outside the security perimeter was the AGR building and that roof. And a 20-year-old with a week's notice figured it out and outsmarted and outmaneuvered the entire U.S. Secret Service, and that is a shame.
I think there was clearly mistakes made. There were decisions that were not appropriate in my opinion, and I'm really appalled at the communications plan, or lack thereof. I can't fathom how that would be acceptable, and it's absolutely not acceptable.
The Secret Service failures that led to the attempted assassination of former President Trump at the forefront of the first public hearing of a House panel investigating what happened. Pennsylvania officers who were at the rally site detailing their experiences before lawmakers. Correspondent Joe Khalil is live for us there from Capitol Hill. Joe, what was laid out in today's hearing?
The main takeaway, again, Nichole, was yet another round of failings to prepare and execute a game plan by the Secret Service. We've heard that before, but this was a different part of that narrative from different authors. And this time, the dynamic was interesting. You had local and state law enforcement officers who were on the ground in Butler testifying today. And you also had a retired Secret Service agent. No one from the Secret Service was actually here today, but the retired agent was there. And you had this dynamic where lawmakers on the task force would ask the local officers, what was your communication like with the Secret Service? What was the direction you got like? What was the planning like? And at every turn, they would then pivot to the former Secret Service agent and ask, is this normal? Is this how that's supposed to be done? More often than not, the answer was no. So it highlighted, again, the failings and the shortcomings on July 13th and then in the planning ahead of time. Whether it was a communication, which, for example, there were two entirely different command centers, one that Secret Service agents were using, one that local law enforcement were using, never synced up. So Secret Service agents didn't get crucial information in real time that the local officers had. There were a lot of questions about the game plan, the strategy. The Secret Service was supposed to give guidance, specifics to the local officers on the ground on how to secure certain buildings, including that AGR building where the would-be assassin climbed up, and they never got fully detailed instructions. So a lot of that kind of thing. And there was some outrage from certain task force members. I'm going to play one moment here from the hearing earlier today that stuck out.
Did I understand you correctly that you're the leader of the local law enforcement on the ground there, right?
Just the tactical units.
Okay, the tactical units. The first time you talked to Secret Service that day was when you needed them and you called them?
Correct.
Did anybody check in with you to make sure your guys were in the right place for the event?
They did not check in with me, but
They did not. Let me make sure I got this correct. The U.S. Secret Service is about to pull a security detail around a president at an event with a lot of people and a lot of risk, with a heightened risk from an international threat, and they didn't even check in with you to make sure your guys were in place and ready to go?
Correct, not with me.
And you're the leader of one of the tactical units covering this and had responsibilities on this site?
Yes.
I find that unbelievable.
And there were a lot of moments like that, Nichole. In fact, there was one moment from the chairman of this task force, Republican Mike Kelly, at the beginning where he basically said, what would it have taken for the Secret Service to say, former President Trump, you can't get on stage yet because there is this sort of active threat that we don't know where they are in the crowd. That was known before Donald Trump actually got on stage. So a lot of those kinds of questions still remain unanswered. We are told there is very likely going to be a second hearing where Secret Service is present. And to be clear, these task force members say at this point, the Secret Service is not hindering their investigation. They're getting most of what they want. There is frustration with the FBI from this task force. They say that they have information that has not yet been relayed to this task force, and they're going to be pushing to get that before the next hearing, Nichole.
All right, Joe Khalil live for us there in Washington. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.